Yeah!
Hey, it's Josh Williams here with another episode of the One Man Podcast, episode number 16 to be specific, for Wednesday, August 30th, 2017. Welcome back, my listeners. I appreciate you guys being here. Welcome to all new listeners. The last week has been crazy for downloads and things like that, so we have done huge, tons of amount of new listeners from all over the globe. So thank you to all the new listeners of the One Man Podcast. And of course, my loyal listeners who've been here since the beginning. Thank you to all of you guys. I'm going to address right off the bat that my voice is a little bit screwed up this week. And the reason being is that I have horrible ragweed allergies. And despite the fact that I've taken shots and stuff for them periodically, I guess here and there, my throat's fucked. My sinuses are screwed. I'm coughing. I'm having really bad allergic reactions, despite the fact that I'm drugging myself up quite regularly. So, excuse me. I that will just come up, and of course, the more I talk, the drier I'll get, and the more coughing I'll do. So, I really hope you guys bear through it this episode. And we do have a lot to talk about. This week, I've got, what is it? I had a better week. I want to thank Jay Lalonde, a good buddy of mine, for his contribution to the One Man Podcast, which I will talk more about a little later on in the show. We'll talk about the Mayweather-McGregor fight. If there's anything left that anyone has any interest in hearing, I'll just tell you what my uneducated, uninformed ass thought about the fight. As well, I saw a movie, which I'll talk about in a teeny little bit, and I'll draw the winner for the poker set. I've been posting that on the social media, and since you guys are all so awesome, you all like and follow and subscribe and all that crap to all the social media stuff for the One Man Podcast. That's been we've had a lot of people enter, which is great. I'm glad to see the interactivity amongst my listeners. So we'll talk about all that stuff this week, guys. Excuse me. I'm going to try not to do that in your ear. I'll stick my head down, and hopefully the sound editor after the fact, Auphonic, will clean that up for me. That's what I hope. So yeah, like I said, start off, my allergies are real bad. I used to go see, like an allergist. I did a walk-in clinic allergy test, and I got, the only thing that I had like crazy allergies to was ragweed. I'll see if I can still find the pictures in my phone somewhere. I think I put them out. I had like of my arms, right, where they prick you and they put the stuff on you. I think I have the picture still somewhere, but I'll post that if I can find it, of just how swollen my arm was on the ragweed section. Everything else was like fine, but the ragweed was like plus on the sheet next to it. So started taking allergy shots, and because I'm a stand-up comedian, there are no health benefits, so I paid them a good amount of money to make me not allergic to ragweed, and here we are, allergic to ragweed still. So, I don't know if you guys have ever had allergy shots. I'd love to know if anyone else got results from them. Maybe I'll go into that story another time. But as it stands right now, I am an unhappy, allergic man in the middle of August in the Ottawa Valley. So, anywho, despite having these allergies all week, I had a fun week. Last Tuesday, I went with my brother and his lovely wife to dinner and a movie. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Eastside Mario's, but Eastside Mario's has a promotion for, I think it's like $22. You get, one of their entrees, and they're all you can eat bread and soup, salad, all that fun stuff. And a ticket to the movies. So I'm like, $22, that's pretty outstanding. Or no, I think it was whatever. Fuck, I don't know. Look up the promos, all right, if you're really that interested in them. I never do my research before the show, for the record. I do my best to remember things, and I'm bad at it. So that's how it goes. I experienced something, and I go, what were the numbers someone yelled at me that night? I can't remember. I think it was $22, and you get their dinner and a movie or whatever. But that's pretty good value, right? Because movies are like $13 now. And if you want like IMAX or reclining chairs or any of that fun stuff, it just keeps going up from that point. So a nice dinner and a movie, $22. I was pretty excited about that. But it was Tuesday. And I don't know about your guys' markets. I have been to Toronto and some other places that don't have this, but in Ottawa on Tuesday, most theaters have half-price movie night. So that's when we tend to really go see the movies that we're not super keen on seeing. So I hung on to my ticket that I got from dinner, and I just paid the regular price. Or so we should just say, my brother graciously got me my ticket. So he paid the discounted price. So thank you for that. I'm like, oh, and I paid regular price. No, I didn't. I was prepared to. Anyways, I went to Eastside Marrow's, and like I said, they have that like all you can eat garlic loaf and Caesar salad and soup, which they have an outstanding Italian wedding soup, which is basically chicken noodle with meatballs instead of chicken. Basically, is what I know, and spinach. Anyways, I was running late because I actually recorded, I think I mentioned last week that I was on my way to go see a movie as I was recording the podcast. So I finished the podcast and had to run out the door to make it in time for the movie, or I should say dinner and the movie. So I called them when I was in the car, like, okay, order me that special. I'll take this and that. and just sit it in for me so that when I get there, I can just start eating, and you guys aren't waiting for me. We don't miss the movie. So it was so funny. When I got there, our server was fantastic. I sit down at the table. She brings me the Caesar salad and the loaf. I'm like, I'm going to need another one of those loaves right away. And do you have the soup too? Do you guys have the Italian wedding? She's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm going to take a bowl of that right now. I looked like a caricature cartoon version of what you would think a fat pig would be. Just, give me more. Like just dropping off. She's running, dropping off, loaves of bread, bowls of soup, Caesar salad. And the funny thing too is she shows up with my entree as well at the same time. So I'm sitting here with a big plate, dish of soup, a big dish of Caesar salad, these loaves of bread, everything. Like I was eating like a fucking pregnant walrus. Like I couldn't. And it was so funny too, because I was kind of trying to hurry. I wasn't eating like an absolute animal, but just the quantity of food in front of me, I was like, okay, I actually maybe have jumped the gun. I will have time to I don't have to friggin' have it all in front of me at once, just the way I look too. And I also kind of, it's just funny to me because she was so cool, but she's like, oh no, I would do the same thing. You guys are running late for a movie. I get it. Just bring it all out and we'll figure it out later. But my brother and his wife were already done by the time I got there. So it basically just looked, I think too, they were a little anxious to make sure that we got to the movie on time. My brother was frantically trying to buy the tickets on the app or whatever, so we wouldn't have a problem once we got in. So it was just funny. It just looks like there's these two people sitting at a table watching this one person just angrily scarf up bread and soup and all this stuff. I thought it was fucking hysterical. It was embarrassing because I was just trying to have my meal before we had to get to the movie. But just having all that food in front of me and like trying to carry a conversation it was fun. It was probably embarrassing for them, but that's what they get when they invite me out. You never know. Josh, would you like to join us for all you can eat buffet with a time frame? Sure. You might want to think that one through though next time. Anyways, we went to go see The Dark Tower. That was the movie we went to go see. I read those books when I was a young feller. I didn't read all of them because at the time they didn't all exist. Stephen King wrote those a long time ago. Hey, would I have the fact number for you? Nope, didn't look it up. I believe he wrote the first one either like late 80s or early 90s. And first one was called The Gunslinger. The second one was called The Drawing of Three. Then there was The Wastelands, Wizard and Glass. Wolves of the Calla is the one that I'm on now. And then there's Song of Susanna and The Dark Tower. So there's 7 books in this series. And I have nothing but good things to say about the stories that I've read in the books. They were all great stories, really engaging, really imaginative. Excuse me. And so, when I saw the trailer for the movie, I could just see what they were saying in the trailer. I'm like, this already that's not what happens in the books. Like, this is sort of ridiculous, but I'm like, so I wasn't super jazzed, but I'm like, I love the books. Let's just go see. Maybe they turned it into something good. I gotta say, guys, holy fuck. The only thing that's similar to the book, at least all the 4.5 books that I read, was that there's a gunslinger, there's a kid named Jake, there's a dark man, and there's a dark tower, or the man in black, I should say, and the dark tower. Like there's 4 characters. But everything else in the movie had nothing to do with that. I'm talking everything. Even the look of the characters, like what they had them dressed in was different than what was described in the book. It would be like me making a Lord of the Rings movie. You know what I mean? And here's the story, right? Everyone knows the story. There's the fucking rings and Frodo has to throw it in a mountain to keep the fucking devil eye from coming back, right? It's an oversimplification, but the point being is it's a real good book about walking. Walking in wars. It's like Braveheart with goblins and trolls and stuff like that, and then a bunch of little, what are they fucking called? Hobbits. That was fucking whatever. The point that I'm getting is, imagine that that's the story of Lord of the Rings, and then I make a movie, and the movie is, oh, this guy wants to marry this girl, but she's being held captive by a sorceress, and in order to, free her, wake her up, he's got to put this ring on her finger. So, he asks his cousin to come with him. I don't know, fuck. I'm going a little off the rails here, but the point being is that had nothing to do with Lord of the Rings. Well, that's how accurate this was in the Gunslinger, or the Dark Tower, I should say. I think like 5-10 minutes in, I'm like every 2 seconds, I'm looking at my brother, go, that's not in the fucking book. That's not in the book. None of this happens. That's not in it. Never heard of that character. That guy was already dead. What the fuck is this? Like, just after like 5-10 minutes, I just stopped myself, because I'm like, I can't go through the whole movie ruining it for him. He hasn't read the books. Let him watch this fucking abortion. It was awful. He even sent me a video the next day of like someone's review. Cause it's funny. I looked up, I don't know if you guys do this, but before I go see a movie, I go to RottenTomatoes.com and just take a look and see what the movie's being rated. Because on Rotten Tomatoes, they're not a sponsor. I shouldn't be, whatever, fuck. I do this because I love you. Anyways, Rotten Tomatoes, .com, they have like a score out of 100, for movies. And the score is based on critics' reviews and audience reviews combined. So when you look at that number, generally speaking, it's like an overall consensus. Sorry, my throat's bugging me. I just have a sip of water here. You're basically getting a general idea of how good it is. So whatever that percentage is, I think something has to be like 60% or higher for it to have a red tomato. Otherwise, it's this green squished thing. It's a rotten tomato, I guess. But anyways, I will jump on that website before I go see any movie, just to see, how good is it doing? You know what I mean? Most horror movies get like somewhere between 15 and 20%. So you usually know horror movies are very hard to make a good one. They get shit on a lot. Same thing, like a lot of shitty comedies and stuff like that. And then you'll have your like Marvel movies or whatever that come out. There's somewhere usually between 80 and 90%, just as a general idea. So I don't remember when I looked, but I looked a while back at the Dark Tower, and it got, I think it was like somewhere in the high 70s or high 80s. So I'm like, well, it might not be the story that, I'm used to in the book, but it's getting good reviews. Well, the day after I saw the movie, I went on Rotten Tomatoes and looked, and it was at like 12% or something like that. It changes, of course, the more people review it, but it took a huge nosedive. And again, if I had seen that first, I'd been like, well, let's just fucking ignore it. So anyways, long story short is, if you go see the Dark Tower, A, you wasted your money. B, it's nothing like the books. It really isn't. And not to say, hey, start reading the books, but like I truthfully would say that like Stephen King's story of the gunslinger and his group, and of course none of his group is in this movie, by the way. Like, it's supposed to be like a standalone movie. They talked about having a sequel, and I'm like, oh god, that would be awful. This movie took like 10 years to make, by the way. They haven't been filming it this whole time, just to change so many hands, so many rights things. But when I first read these books, I was like, they could rival Lord of the Rings for the term, just in terms of the story and the progress and things like that. But yeah, after seeing the movie, I was like, this sucks. It's not even that I was disappointed. Everyone knows I'm not saying the books. Of course the books were better. There's like 7 books, and that was a 2-hour movie, but the, what can I say? I thought that it would have rivaled Lord of the Rings in terms of just a good story. The action wasn't even good. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I was being a bitch about it because I didn't like the fact that it wasn't like the book, that'd be one thing. And I would be pretty aware of that. But the idea was like, there was so many things in the movie that made no sense. Like, for example, there are 2 things that they had in the movie alongside the characters that were in fact in the book. That mantra that Roland, the gunslinger, says about, I don't aim with my hand. He who aims with his hand has forgotten the face of his father. I aim with my eye. And then he keeps going, I don't shoot with my finger. I don't fucking kill with my brain or my head or whatever the fuck it is. That was in the book. And the movie, they keep putting it over and over and over again. And it's like, it wasn't like that at all. It was like something that they were taught as kids, you know, and that was it. But anyways, and then the other thing they had was the first line from the book, which said, the man in black fled across the desert and the gunslinger followed, something like that. And they use that somewhere in the middle of the movie. But anyways, not to get too off here. Some of you guys might be like, I don't give a fuck about the book. I don't give a fuck about the movie. Talk about something else. Fine. I will do that. But I would just say, guys, save your money. It was just a stupid watch. I would hate for, you know, someone who's actually interested in that kind of stuff, like interesting ideas, to see that movie and go, well, I'm not fucking interested in the story, because that story was amazing. It was really, really cool to read. And the movie was a complete abortion. Had nothing to do with the books. Nothing. So yeah, anyways. All right. What else did I do? I went in on Thursday. Okay. Get this. This is a story I want to share with you guys. I think I mentioned before that I was, I know nothing about cars. I know how to drive them, but I don't really know a whole lot about how they work. So I'm kind of at the whim of my my service team. After all the driving I did, the trips and things like that, I definitely was time for an oil change. So I brought it in on Thursday to my dealership. And they explained to me last time that there's little codes that come up on the dash that I can see that tell me what needs to be done. So the other day I brought the car in, that was on Thursday, to my dealership. And I was expecting, you know, I know I needed to get the car or the tires rotated. You're supposed to do that like every 8,000 kilometers. And I think I'm like 12 or 13,000. I haven't done it yet. And I know the season's over soon. But either way, I'm going to probably put another at least 2,000 to 3,000 kilometers on it before the winters go on. So I'm trying to make sure that I don't wear them the fuck out. So I go in and I go, look, I definitely need an oil change. I think I might need the tires rotated. Let me know if I need an alignment or anything like that. And I got these codes. So I tell the girl the codes and she goes, oh, 1 second. She looks over at this little sheet on the wall. She explained that she was new, but whatever. The fucking codes will mean the same thing to her. She's got a grid. And she's like, oh, you need to have your transmission fluid drained. That's what this code means. And then the other one says you have to have, you know, tires rotated in this checkup and that checkup and whatever. So I think like that particular checkup number that came up there was like oil change rotation, some other shit. It was like $225. And then they're like the transmission fluid was like another 90 or 100, something like that. And I know that I'm close to 100,000. You're supposed to drain it every 100,000 kilometers. So I'm like, okay, let's do that. And I go, oh, and I got a fucking brake light out. So, you know, can you do that for me too? She's like, sure. So she adds us all up and I'm at like $400 or something like that by the time I get started. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be, you know, something. So let's do this. I get home. They were kind enough to get me a shuttle or whatever. I get home and I think they called me maybe 2 hours later to say, hey, just to let you know, they were looking at your car and your brake fluid is super dirty and low. It needs to be replaced. That's another 120 something bucks or whatever. I'm like, oh, all right. You know, if I have to get it done, then let's do it. She says, also, you do need an alignment after all. It's not included. That's another $100. And I'm like, okay, let's fucking do that too. Then let's get it all done. Right. Just, you know, when you're bent over getting fucked, right? What's the difference between 12 guys and 11 guys, right? Right? Just odd metaphor to just pop into my head. But that's what it fucking feels like sometimes, right? You go in with one thing and they add like one or two more things, right? And then they call you later and go, it's going to be another thing. And they go, well, we'll let you know what's going on with it. They call you back for the answer on one thing and they add two more. Like, it's ridiculous. And then she says to me, so I go in for a $60 oil change. I'm going, now I'm at you know, the full, you know, rotation, blah, blah, blah package. I got to put new transmission fluid in. I got to put new brake fluid in. I got to get an alignment. And then she says, oh yeah, and the brake light too. I forgot about that. And then she says to me, also, one of the techs noticed that you have a burnt out bulb for your climate control. And off the top of my head, I didn't know what the fuck climate control is. I know what it means, but I thought maybe it was a different system or whatever. I mean, you mean like the air conditioner light or the fog, you know, what is it? Like the anti-fog warmers on my mirrors. And she's like, well, yeah, the air conditioner light. And she goes, yeah, it's burnt out. And I said, okay, well, what's that going to cost? She's like, well, in order to fix that, they have to take off the dash and everything. So it's $140. I go, fuck no, I do not give a shit. Fuck the light. I go, fuck the light. My button pushes in, it pushes out. It's not like it's just a tap one and I'd need to know. I go pushes in, it pushes out. I'll fucking know when it's on or off. So I said, forget it. Day goes by. They come get me at the time the shuttle brings me back. And I asked the guy who was there, who usually takes care of me. I go, hey dude, is there any way that, you can knock some of this off? I think I ended up being at like $638. You go in for $60, you come out 600. So I was basically spending 10 times more than I had anticipated that day. I knew it might be a little more with some other things, but definitely nowhere near that. So I asked the dude, hey man, can you help me out a little bit? I know that sometimes you guys have a little bit of leeway with some of these things. And he goes over my bill and he goes, yeah, he goes, everything here is like skewed items. Or he said something about menu or something like that, where they're all in together. It's not like, individualized labor and part and da-da-da-da. It's all these packaged things. It's really not a lot I do. I go, well, what about the brake light? I said, I'll pay for the light, but can you throw away the labor on that? He goes, yeah, I think I do that. So he knocks $20 off of it. It's not huge, but I appreciated the gesture. Cause I mean, again, they bent me over, man. They let the whole fucking train, have a turn. So yeah, it's like number 12 drives you home afterwards. Oh, we're going to stay with this prison rape fucking theme. Anyways, so I'm driving home. I call Crystal right away, the lady, right? I call her and say, hey, I can't fucking believe like how much this cost. And I go to turn the AC on, right? I push the button in and sure enough, the light's not working. I push it in and out a couple times. Light doesn't come on. And I go, well, I guess I'll just know by the feel whether or not the thing's on. So I click the button in and I go to feel the vents. There's nothing blowing out of them. I turn the fan on, and as soon as I turn the fan on, the light comes on. And I don't know if this is the same in all vehicles. Maybe it was just this particular model that was like this. But I test it out. I turn the fan off again, the light goes off. So my air conditioner light only comes on when the fan is on, which makes sense, right? Because if the light stays off, you're not going to kick on your fucking AC. There's no, you're not blowing it anyways. You're just wasting money. So the AC only comes on, the light it's as well, when you get the fan on. I lost my fucking shit. I lost my shit. Because I was thinking to myself, like, at first I was just mad. I'm like, oh, thank God I didn't do it. Right. Like, I can't believe this. And then I was like, you know what? I go to the dealership because over the years, like, they've been relatively decent to me in terms of, being honest about what I need and what I don't. And this was like, the end of the day. So I didn't have anything to say at that point. I was just kind of more glad I hadn't spent the money, because they would have replaced that bulb. I never would have known that there was actually nothing wrong with it. So, it sat with me overnight. The next day I called and I spoke to the guy who gave me the discount. I said, look, dude, I got to tell you something happened yesterday and I'm pretty fucking upset about it. I'm not crying in the shower. Still not crying, guys. Still haven't been able to cry. But I was like, I know that you guys charge more. You're in a dealership. For anyone who doesn't know, dealerships are going to cost more money to get your car fixed because they have to pay for all the overhead of their giant buildings and stuff like that. So I said to the guy, I go, look, I come to the dealership. I know I can go elsewhere. I come to you guys. I'm willing to pay a little bit more because we've built this trust that, I believe you guys aren't going to tell me I need shit that I don't need. And I go, I came in yesterday and I didn't have enough money to pay for the light. I go, if I had, I would have done it just because I didn't want the car to have something wrong with it. But I just didn't have what I needed to get that done too. So I passed. That was the least important thing. I passed. On my way home, turned on the fan, tried the button worked. Goes off because the fan. I go, so whoever looked at it didn't fucking know that if the fan's off, the light doesn't work. And I said that the idea that I would have paid that and never known something's wrong. I go, I have no reason to believe that you guys are ever trustworthy again. Why would I ever come back here knowing that you guys are going to tell me something needs to be fixed that doesn't fucking need to be fixed? I go, how did I troubleshoot it? It's like the same as the allergy stuff. I think I talked about that before. I know I brought it up at the beginning of this episode, but I don't know if I actually talked about it in depth. But yeah, I mean, like, how the fuck do I figure that out? And then he looked into it and he goes, oh, it was our foreman that was looking at it that diagnosed it. And I go, this is unreal. He goes, listen, next time you come in, come see me. I'll take care of you. Which I don't even know what the fuck that means. Like, if he's going to be the guy who does my paperwork, big fucking deal. But I was basically like, I said, I'm not asking for anything for free, but just know the position I'm in. Why would I ever come back and trust the work here ever again? So that was pretty fucked up. I don't even know, you know, what to say. I mean, if you guys are in that same boat, right? If any of you guys are like me and you don't really know a whole lot of shit, I mean, if you ever get something fishy like that, maybe try testing it or whatever. I don't know. It's a tough thing. It's like, what do you do in that situation? You know, I don't know. That's where I say, guys, I really fucking hate. It sucks not knowing something about a particular thing, especially something as important as a car. With my line of work, right, doing the ride sharing, driving to gigs and stuff. Like, I need my car to work, and it really sucks to not know much about it. So I guess I'm gonna have to learn a little bit about cars. But fuck's sakes, that's why you need a guy you can trust. You know what I mean? Everyone's got their guy that they can trust. So I think as soon as the manufacturer's warranty's up on this, I'm gonna have to fucking look for a good mechanic. You know. Anyways, that was my Thursday. Thursday was a fucking stress day. On Friday, I had my episode with Mike Damber come out. I hope you guys had an opportunity to listen to that and enjoy it. I had a good time chatting with Mike. Mike's an old friend in comedy, super funny guy, very interesting story about how he got started. So if you haven't listened to that yet, check out the Mike Damber interview that we did that released on Friday. And then Friday night, all right, you guys have been listening to this for a long time. I went to my friend Chris's house. I met his lovely wife, Rebecca, and we played, Crystal and I played some board games with them. Chris is the one who's been submitting those board game explanations for a few weeks now. Well, actually, it's submitted it once, but I've been breaking it up into sections. So after playing some board games at Mika's place, it's like I said, the universe seems to want me to be involved in board games. I tried the two different games that he had suggested, Pandemic and Codenames. Won't go into them too much, guys, but they were actually a lot of fun. We had some drinks, played some board games. Chris has this, like, I don't even remember what the fuck it was called. I'm sure he can mention it in an email sometime or whatever, but he had this like giant like mouse pad thing that was on a roll. It was like a mouse pad, what the fuck do they call it? Tablecloth. So he rolls it over the thing so that like if you have cards or something laying flat, you can actually like squish into the material, pick them up. Cause he's like, yeah, try picking a card up off the table when it's laying on a flat surface. You can't grip it with your nails or whatever, but this thing, it's got some gives. I thought it was the funniest fucking thing. And they were in the world that he would, and he brought it out on like a dowel. So it was like all rolled up on a dowel, like a scroll, you know. Jester goes up to the king. All right. And they roll the scroll down on the big fucking pole. Anyways, it was cool. He was very, very, he's definitely got a big collection of board games, and we did have a good time. I'm not ripping on it. We had a good time. We had some drinks. The more drinks we all had, the worse we all got at these board games. And a lot of them were very descriptive, sort of Cards Against Humanity style, where you're coming up with clues and shit yourself. I don't know. I read the explanations of those games, guys. Feel free to go back and listen to them. But I do have to say that after playing them firsthand, they were a lot of fun. And it was kind of cool to sit and, like I said, socialize via board games instead of like everyone being on their devices and stuff like that. It was cool. It was a great night. Crystal and I had a good time. So thank you, Chris. It was great, having the opportunity to see you again and hang out. We will definitely do it again. Just had a great time. Thank you so much for that. And thanks for showing me the board games. I will definitely look into them more. I told them though, I'm like, okay, no board game talk for a while, because the podcast listeners do not give a shit and they're not going to stay tuned if we're only talking about board games. But do check them out, guys. If you do have the slightest interest in doing something new, I got to say, over the last couple of weeks, just I'm ending up in these situations where we're playing games and stuff like that. It was fun. It was really cool to just kind of do something that didn't require electricity and devices and stuff like that. Saturday. Oh, what happened Saturday? A little boxing match with Mayweather and McGregor. I went to go see my buddies Peter, Ivan, Stewart, and Graham. Peter was kind enough to host the event. And I haven't watched boxing in a super long time. And I don't mean that like I used to be a fan. I mean like I've maybe watched 3 or 4 boxing matches in my entire life. I find UFC boring. Not to attack anyone who, broed up, man, just watching guys beat the shit out of each other. I don't give a shit. I've watched UFC before. It's mildly entertaining for me. I could take or leave it. I saw on Facebook, like probably everybody else, all the shit talking that McGregor was doing leading up to the fight. You're boxing's biggest bitch. You're a big fuck. You can't even fucking read. All those things on the internet. So, oh, sorry. My throat is so fucking itchy. Yeah, I got like this tickle in the back of my throat. It goes up into my ear canals. Everything's just itchy and tickly. The breathing's a little labored. Sorry to be complaining about it, but just If I stop and make noises, just because just can't fathom the pain anymore. I can fathom it. That means understand, right? I can fathom it. I can put it into words in my own mind. I just can't hack it. Can't stomach it. Can't tolerate the pain. Anyways, McGregor's fight. Actually, you know what? Let's go back. I watched all the fights. I don't remember the first 2 fights, but I do remember this was guy who came out wearing like a fucking Cookie Monster hood. I don't know if any of you guys watched it. And I'm sorry for anyone who didn't know. There was a guy who came out wearing like what looked like a hoodie, just the top of the hood part, made out of the exact same material that Cookie Monster is made out of. And then he had these 2 like strips on the side of his boxing trunks made out of the same material. So he's running out looking like Cookie Monster. I don't know what the fuck was going on. He fought a Latin guy. Boxing, there's no kicking. There's no like hammer punching or whatever they call it. Hammer downs or whatever. So you only punch the guy, forward, whatever. Again, the only people who give a shit about my opinion of boxing, probably people who know boxing already know that you can't do that. So it is interesting after like not seeing boxing for so long and seeing more, UFC stuff. You just see guys taking swings and punches where they can, right? So it's kind of funny to watch these guys they're punching, they're fighting. This Cookie Monster guy, he won the match because like the one guy, he punched him in the back of the head. And then the guy like fell down to his knees. I don't know, so much arrogance. He kept sticking his hands behind his back and sticking his face way out. Like, look, here, punch me. My hands are behind my back, And then he punches the other guy in the back of the head and then wins the fight. And I think he even mocked him when he went down. He like dropped to his knees next to him and put his hands behind his head, like mocking him. I don't know. He's a piece of shit. And then they show him the replay where he punches the guy in the back of the head. And he's like, oh no, see, that's not why he died. That's why he died. That's not why he lost, man. I mean, I finished him before that. I know for sure that's not why he lost. It's like, you know for sure that when you punched him in the back of the head, that wasn't it. He's like, oh no, he was already done. When I hit him there, that was just mode. I mean, that's just, I can't take the shit talking in some of these sports, man. Like just like the whole fucking, I don't give a fuck about you. Fuck you. And no, I'm super good. And I'm like the level of fucking ego that goes into some of these athletes. And it's the same thing in all sports. Don't get me wrong. I'm not blaming the fighters. I'm just saying, just generally speaking, there's a lot of athletes with some severe fucking ego. And of course, at the same time, some insecurity issues and shit like that. Like I watched the Mayweather McGregor one. I'm not going to go round for round or anything like that. I don't know what to expect. I did hear this at the beginning of the fight because I didn't look a lot into it. McGregor is from the UFC. Floyd Mayweather's 49 fights, 0 losses. So undefeated in boxing. McGregor is going into a new sport that he's not familiar with. He's familiar with UFC where he can use his feet, his legs, his tackles, his grapples, all that fucking fun shit. And he's going to go up against the best boxing record, 49-0. And a guy who's super fast. So I heard at the beginning that McGregor had a couple inches reach on Mayweather, which means that he can basically punch farther than him. So he's got a little bit of a distance advantage. He's also a great fighter, but he's not a boxer. So you can see right away, like as soon as the fight started, McGregor's already trying to, he kept hitting him, doing the hammer punch on the back of the guy's head. And the ref had to keep saying, hey man, stop hitting him in the back of the head. Stop. Like you can see this UFC shit bleeding through. Like I half expected him to go up and throw a kick at him or something at one point, but they kept going, nothing really spectacular, a few hits from each one of them here and there. Like that's the thing. I love boxing movies. I love Rocky. I like Cinderella Man was a good one. I haven't seen The Fighter. But there's a couple other boxing movies that I've seen, $1 Million Baby, where in those movies, the fights, Bleed for This. I saw with my buddy Paul Verzi. Paul and I went to see Bleed for This in a movie theater in Toronto. It was just the two of us in there. But the boxing movies always make the fights look like there's just action nonstop. Nice big uppercuts, hits to the face, exciting match. They're not. There's a lot of just, tap dancing around on their tippy toes, putting their hands up, trying to a little shuffle, little bob side to side. Then every now and again they punch themselves. It's kind of like a nightclub. A lot of dancing. Every now and again someone throws a fist. That's basically boxing to me. And I don't know. I really didn't think much of the fight. And then of course, 8 or 9 rounds in, you could see McGregor getting tired. Then he started, Floyd Mayweather started really landing some hits on him, getting him tired. UFC fights are shorter than boxing fights, right? I mean, I think UFC is 15 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, 5-minute rounds. And boxing is, I think this one was 12 3-minute rounds. So 36 minutes total. So more than double. And I think it was, you could see him getting tired, and the ref stopped the fight when McGregor got a few punches landed on him in a row. He didn't fall down, didn't drop down. And of course that was his saving grace after the fight, to be like, it didn't knock me down. I was fatigued. That's all. I mean, he's got a way better composure. He does a lot more. His composure's way better, but it didn't knock me down. I didn't hit the mat. So, I wish he hadn't stopped the fight, but, I had a good time, and he was very composed or whatever. Like, I'm talking fine now, right? I'm not knocked out or nothing like that. I'm not, struggling for my words. So it was kind of like, after all the hype, I found it to be the whole thing, $100 pay-per-view, but I found the entire thing to be incredibly boring. Did not live up to the hype. And Floyd Mayweather, congratulations to him. 50 fights, nice little 50-0. Said it'd be his last fight ever. I mean, I maybe I'm looking at it as a simpleton, but in terms of sheer entertainment value, like I've had friends who are like, man, the UFC is so interesting. I go, I don't know. It looks like two guys hugging on the ground for 3.5 minutes at a time, or 4 minutes, whatever the fuck, 5 minutes. Jesus. It looks like two guys, and they go, no, but it's really intricate. There's a lot of technical aspects to it, I go, yeah, man, but so's a fridge, but I'm not going to stare at it for entertainment. I don't give a fuck what it's doing and how technical it is. It's fucking boring to look at, just two guys hugging on the ground. I remember way back in the day when you could kick guys in the nuts and punch them, barehanded and shit in the face. I'm like, yeah, that's ultimate fighting. Now it's like the ultimate, hugging each other and just, talk it out. I don't know. It was really, I found the boxing even more boring. So I don't know, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not a boxing commentator or anything like that. I just, I was excited for it because of all the hype. Really felt like it didn't live up to it. And it's funny because the next day I actually saw talking about that insecurity thing with athletes. Floyd Mayweather made like what, $250 million, $250 million off of that fight. No shit, he came out of retirement for it. Now he's 50-0. I saw someone post an Instagram video of Floyd Mayweather in his hotel room, just standing there, throwing money at, I think it was like something like 10. All you see is 10 women facing away from the camera, all of them asses twerking in G-strings, and him just throwing money on them. And obviously someone filming him for an Instagram purpose or whatever it was. And I was like, that's the most insecure shit I've ever seen. Like, Dad, yeah, you just made $250 million. But like, how much posturing do you really have to have? I made this money, now I'm throwing it, I'm wasting it on bitches. Like, dude, fucking just be proud, be a man, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, guys. Maybe people are out there like, yeah, money and bitches. And like, I felt bad for the girls too. I'm like, what? You're just standing there shaking your ass so a guy can throw money at you. Like, everybody, I felt sad for everybody in that. I mean, again, I'm feeling bad for a guy who just made $250 million, but at the same time, like, dude, that you have to do that. The making it rain shit on bitches twerking. I don't know. It just seemed to like overall, I don't know. You want to think that these guys are, like superheroes or something afterwards, like what a great athlete. The guy's got a great life, whatever, I don't know. It just seemed very rap video-ish, like that's what I find. I like hip hop beats. They sound great. But a lot of them, I start listening to the words, and all of them are talking about how much money they have and how much, material items and how many bitches and how gay, like posturing, rap music is some of the most insecure music. Like, why do I have to listen about how much money you have? Tell me about your day. How was your day today? I'm more interested in that to know than how much money you have. Do you know what I mean? Like, make the cover of your fucking album your bank statement then if you're so insecure. Show me your fucking balance, right? Like, I don't get that shit. Some people love it. I don't. So maybe that's why I just don't like the fucking sports and shit like that. I have to really buy into the fact that, these guys are craving my approval. The fucking guy who sits down and orders 2 loaves of bread, soup, salad. I'm in a hurry. I got a movie to go see. Oh, wait, let me like fucking Johnny Make It Rain's Instagram post. He needs my fucking approval. Anyways. So that's what I thought of the fight. And Sunday, we're still talking about my week, guys. I had a busy week. Lots to run my mouth about. Sunday, I did a dry run, like a dress rehearsal. I'm going to be hosting an event in Ottawa, the Counter-Strike Global Offensive. It's a video game, I guess, for computers. They're having tournaments across Canada in the Cineplex theaters, and I will be the host of the event September 10th here in Ottawa. So I'm not really supposed to talk about this from any kind of authoritative sense, but all I can say is if you guys happen to be at the Scotiabank Theatre on September 10th and looking for something fun to watch, there's a tournament there. I think there's going to be prizes and stuff for people to come out. And yeah, I'm going to run my mouth about a video game. You know, it's a little bit of fun, a good way to earn some money. But we did the dress rehearsal for it on Sunday. And I had an opportunity to, obviously, you know, we helped build the computers and stuff like that. But then there was kind of a moment where we had to download a bunch of software, and that's not my forte. So I went up with one of our switchers. So we got to go up into the projection booth upstairs. I got to tell you, super cool back there. Just in the sense that like there's all these giant things, like movies don't come on reels or anything like that. They come on these hard drives. So you can see like what movie is on there and what trailers are on. There's like stickers that had them all on there, but there's nobody. This is one of the things, I don't know if you guys know, there's nobody up there anymore. Like there's all these big projectors and they're all just because they have a hard drive connected to them. They all just start at the movie start time. So like you're sitting there and there's a speaker up there that's like theater 12 starting movie, you know, starting program, whatever the fuck. I can't remember exactly what it's saying, but it's really cool. Like all the big projectors, and it was one of those big 12 theater, you know, plexes. So I was sitting there and we were on our theater. We had software and some computers set up so that it would broadcast like the different gaming programs and advertisements and stuff like that we had. So it was pretty funny. I just took, we upload graphics. I just took the One Man Podcast logo and I stuck it on the projector for the theater that we were all working in. Never miss an opportunity to promote. I am so happy to show this thing off at every capacity possible. So I put the One Man Podcast onto the projector and broadcasted it to into the theater when everyone was working. So that was kind of fun. There's pictures on Instagram of that, so feel free to have a peek at that. I think on Twitter we've got actually a different angle as well, from sitting right in the front row seats up at the screen, which is very cool. And then I got one where you can actually see the little like reflective diffuser lens thing, and then it broadcast out into the theater. That was fun. I had fun doing that. Of course, that's what they're paying me for, is to sit around and promote my own shit. There was one point. Okay, so here's what happened. We got there at 8 o'clock in the morning. And as you guys know, most movie theaters are not open at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. So when we got there, myself and another team member, we got there, the front door was open, like going off to the side, right? It wasn't like all doors were open. It's like 6 front doors. The one to the far left was open. So we walk in, you know, there's no cars in the parking lot or whatever. We walk in, meet our team in the theater, start putting stuff together. I think by the time the theater was open at like noon or something like that, the team was mostly there. There was maybe 15 of us all together, all said and done. So not horrible. At one point, this guy walks in and goes, how did you guys all get in here? And our leader, Kirsten, who's an absolute sweetheart, was like, oh, we were let in by the manager. And he goes, no, who let you in specifically? She's like, you know, names the guy. I don't want to name him here, but names the guy who let us in. No reason not to let us in. She starts freaking out. You're not supposed to be in here. She goes, yeah, we are. We're part of this event. He goes, no, I need you to tell me who let you in. She's like, I already told you. This guy was freaking out about nothing, you know? So eventually he's like, I'm just gonna have to check the cameras and see who let you in. I'm just like, I just told you who's letting us in. So anyways, the day goes on. You know, we're setting stuff up. Again, I had done the projection stuff after this or whatever. But at one point, there's a Chapters across the way. So I went to get a coffee. Myself and one of the other guys I was working with, we went to get coffees at the Starbucks at the Chapters. And we come back and everyone couldn't wait to say to me, oh, you missed it. And I go, what? She goes, that guy came back and he absolutely lost his shit. I go, well, tell me about it. And they go, yeah, he started screaming at Kristen, would not let her speak. How did you get in here? Why are you here? You know, like the guy had no idea what was going on, screaming at her in front of the entire team. Remember, she's in charge, and we're also a separate event company. We don't work for Cineplex. We work for a different event company that partners with Cineplex to do this. So he starts screaming at her, you know, wouldn't let her speak. How did you get in here? Who let you in? You know, you're supposed to go to a event. And we're like, we haven't done anything wrong. We were let in. You know, it's not our problem that we walked in. Someone else let us in. If you have an issue with it, find out on your team who let us in. We don't have fucking keys ourselves, you know? But this is what I understood. He was screaming at her, wouldn't let her speak. And then she said that when she was finally able to get any words out, she said, "How is this my fault?" And he started yelling back, "I am a full-time manager here and you will not speak to me that way." Eventually he ended up storming off. And I was pretty upset to find out, like, cause I was like a few different things. First off, she was saying that she didn't necessarily feel intimidated. She's like, how do you yell at, like, she's, they were in a theater. So he was standing at the top of the stairs. She was down in the pit in the bottom where we were all working. He's screaming at her. It's like, how do you yell down at me? Secondly, I'm a woman. Like, how do you just scream at me like that? Like that could be intimidating. And secondly, the issue that I took with it was the fact that she's here with her team. We're a separate event company and you're screaming at her without good cause in front of her team. There's no reason why this guy couldn't have been like, "Hey, can I talk to you for a second?" Take her outside and go, "What the fuck is going on? How did you guys get in?" Like, at least it's one-on-one. Or even to just say, "Hey, look, going forward, I need you guys to make sure that you've got a manager who lets you in. You can't just come in if the door's unlocked," which wasn't the case. She was actually let in. She was the first one let in. But anyways, the fact of the matter is I'm a big believer in praise in public, punish in private. So if you're any kind of manager listening to this and you're in charge of people, whatever, praise in public, give people great feedback, make them feel good in front of their peers. But if you have something negative to say, if you have to reprimand someone, do it in private. This guy walks in without a good reason, starts screaming at Kristen in front of her entire team, myself included. Well, no, I wasn't there, but do you know what I'm saying? Like, she's in charge of everything. The top person on our team is her, and she's getting berated, you know what I mean, in front of the team. And I was really not cool with that. I mean, luckily she was super cool. She's very like down to earth, but in terms of having to take shit like that, I think that's crazy. Like, I don't know about you guys, but to think that someone just walks in and starts screaming and yelling at somebody, I don't know. That was one thing that sort of put a sour taste in our mouths for us today. I was kind of hoping that he would come back in, because I have no problem just saying like, "Hey, what kind of fucking man are you to scream at somebody?" You know what I mean? To come down on somebody for something that's not their fault. You know what I mean? You're not from here. You're not part of our team. If you want to ruin this relationship, then whatever. Anyways, blah, blah, blah. Point being was, I had a fun time getting ready for this event. I think the event's going to be a huge success and a great time. But I was really disappointed to hear that our liaison, or at least somebody who wasn't even our set liaison there, was able to be that unprofessional and that rude. And hats off to Kristen for being able to take it on the chin and not really not get upset. Like, she was super cool. She's like, "I can't believe," she's like, I'm glad it was me and not someone else, because that could have really upset someone. Like, and everyone there was just going like, we were all shocked. Our jaws were dropped. We couldn't believe he was talking to her like that. So anyways, if you're the kind of person who's having a bad day, maybe, maybe just check yourself. Start screaming and yelling for somebody, or at somebody for something that's not their fault. Just take a deep breath. Because you could have a guy with a podcast sitting there who was going to, talk about how you're a prick to everyone listening. At the same time, ruin relationships, lose your job. I didn't want that to happen to the guy. I was kind of hoping he would come back with attitude. So I'd be like, "Look, man, you have the opportunity to do the right thing and apologize. I get it. Maybe you're a little worried. You're the one in charge of the theater. People are getting in. You don't know how. I get that. So you're a little worried. You're a little afraid. You lost your shit. Come back and apologize. Apologize. So that, it doesn't look bad on you, because we didn't do anything wrong. We're not going to get shit for it, but for you losing your shit and talking to one of the employees, or partners, I should say, like that, pretty fucking nuts. Anyways, that's kind of the fun little week that I had. Yesterday, Monday, I finished finally my George Carlin Last Words book. I know I spent so much time just reading a few pages here, a few pages there. I had a little bit of time last week, one of the afternoons. I read a few chapters of it, and then yesterday I finished it. So I'm super jazzed for that. I haven't finished a book in God knows how long, because they're hard. Reading's hard. Okay, I stare at the page, my eyes cross, and I fall asleep. But I really liked it. It's just one last time, because it is probably the last time I'll be talking about it. it's called Last Words. It's sort of the biography of George Carlin. It was written posthumous by his friend Tony Hendra, who over the years they got together and George would sort of add more information for this book. George Carlin is one of my influences in comedy, and just reading this book, especially the last few chapters, talking about like all the struggles that he went through, drugs and depression, and then sharing the perspectives that he had on writing and just life in general and people. How everyone takes themselves so seriously and puts themselves in groups. Everybody wants to be a part of a group. Individuals are good. As soon as you decide to put yourself into a group with other people, you start to develop a group mentality. I mean, look at that shit in Charlottesville or whatever. Obviously those people are fucking racist, but I would imagine there's a couple people there who might have been half decent, and just got together with the wrong people and, say and do shit to fit in. That's what Carlin said. He said on a one-on-one basis, he can find something interesting and fascinating about everybody. Just there's something that they know or whatever that's interesting to him. And I find myself to be the same way. I like to talk to people one-on-one and get to know people, but groups and shit, bah. Anyways, great book. And here's what I want to do. I want to give it to somebody else. I'm done with it. I've had it for quite a few years, ever since it came out, and I finally finished reading it. I'd love to send it to someone. So if anybody here is like, oh, that sounds good, and I wouldn't mind reading it. If there's a reader that listens and you'd like the book, contact@onemanpodcast.com is the email. Just send me your mailing address and I'll send the book to you. If there's a few people that want to read it, maybe what I'll do is I'll just stick the addresses, maybe no names, but I'll stick the addresses in there. I'll send it to one, and then if maybe you guys would be kind enough to send it to the next person, that'd be great. But I'm not a super hippie or anything like that, but the idea that there's a book that could be shared and enjoyed amongst listeners, especially someone like George Carlin, who's such a great comic or whatever. Anyways, that's that. So George Carlin, finally read the fucking Last Words book. It took me forever, but it's done. And did I ever feel super fucking smart afterwards? Huh? Oh, finishing a book? I'm like, yep. That's what I did. I felt so intelligent, so knowledgeable, so wise, which is a great way to segue into my partners at portablepress.com. This week, I will be reading from Uncle John's bathroom reader, Wise Up, Amazing Facts and Incredible Information. All right, so this is a book here. Wise Up is all about, it's basically a list of facts, of course, but you know how every time I read one of these things every week, there's a little footnote at the bottom of the page that's just like a random little fact. Well, this particular book from Uncle John's bathroom reader is a collection of all those little pieces of information at the bottom of the page, and then they've organized them into lists that make them sort of easier to, to give them context and stuff like that, or as opposed to just having sentence after sentence of random fact. They've organized them into different sections. So this week, I'm going to be reading one of those organized lists from Wise Up. And this article is called The Blues. So it's about everything to do with blues. So not necessarily blues music, but just the color. Okay. So for starters, the term feeling blue has its roots in nautical traditions. In the old days, when a captain or officer died, the ship flew a blue flag. People sitting in the first few rows of a Blue Man Group concert get plastic ponchos before the show to protect them from the mess created as the performers bang on the liquid-filled tops of drums. Next one is, in many languages, people use the same word for the colors blue and green. The sky is blue because of the way the human eye perceives color. On sunny days, light scatters in such a way that eyes sees only the blue part of the spectrum. First official blues record, Hart A. Wan's Dallas Blues in 1912. In 2002's Die Another Day, James Bond sliced Thomas Gainsborough's painting, The Blue Boy with a Sword. Another one, the Toronto Blue Jays are the only Major League Baseball team located outside the United States. I think all of us in Canada know that. And for my U.S. listeners, I'm sure, again, you do some basic thing in Toronto. You're like, what state is that in? It's not. It's in Canada, that giant piece of land above you that you know a little about. Some of you, anyways. Most of my U.S. listeners are in the northern part, and you're all very educated. I got a big strip through the middle of the fucking country that's not really listening to the podcast. Anyways, I digress. The world's largest blue sapphire, the blue giant of the Orient, at 466 carats. Canada's largest fruit crop, blueberries. The term blue jeans comes from the French bleu de Jean, meaning blue of Genoa. Why? Some of the first denim pants were manufactured in Italy and were shipped out of the port of Genoa. And finally, bluebirds were considered a rare species until 1996. And there you have it, guys. That was Uncle John's Wise Up. Amazing facts and incredible information. That one is from my partners, as usual. PortablePress.com. They have tons of books like this, guys. Like I said, they're great little 1 to 4 page readers. You can find anything that you're interested in: history, science, television, sports, space, whatever you're interested in. They have books about them. They've got geography based ones. So portablepress.com, you can see what books they have. And yeah, I mean, as always, I'm a big fan of them, and I hope that you guys enjoy these segments. I'm always happy to take requests, so I have a lot of their books and on a lot of different subjects. So if you guys are like, hey, you know what, maybe read one from this or that, this is all about making you happy. I'm a people pleaser. So if you guys know of any, if you've heard one of the books before, I don't know, I'm just trying to engage you. I like making this interesting. I'm getting feedback that you guys are enjoying these things. I never really know sort of what book to pull from. I try to rotate, right? I just read from the same book for a long time, but that would get boring. So I try to pick a different one every week, and once I go through all of them, then we'll go back to some of the other ones a little later on. I'm so sorry, the throat's getting so itchy right now, which is a perfect opportunity for me to take a sip and play my sponsor at Absolute Comedy's promo. Absolute Comedy is the best live stand-up comedy from across North America, with locations in Kingston, Toronto, and Ottawa, Ontario. These comedians have been featured on Just for Laughs, Netflix, Comedy Central, CBC's The Debaters, Jimmy Kimmel Live, Conan, The Comedy Network, and much, much more. Go to absolutecomedy.ca to see this week's lineup. Planning a night out is easy with dinner and show packages available at all locations. Live comedy is a great choice if you're organizing a celebration, fundraiser, company outing, or corporate event. Want the show brought to you? They'll send comedians to your venue with performances tailored to your event, creating a night of laughs your guests will love and won't soon forget. So for showtimes, ticket prices, gift certificates, special shows, and more, head to absolutecomedy.ca. Again, that's absolutecomedy.ca for the best live stand-up comedy from across North America. Oh yeah, Absolute Comedy. Speaking of Absolute Comedy, this week I will be interviewing the headliner Pete Zedlacker, super funny guy. He's performed all over North America. That's one of the things I'll be sitting down with him tomorrow, which is Wednesday, the day that you guys are listening to this, recording an interview with him that will be available to you Friday. I know, I'm the gift that keeps on giving. Josh, every week it feels like you give us a bonus episode. Well, lately, there's been a lot of interesting people around, so I want to talk with them and get them out there. You guys can find out about them. But if you guys are in the Ottawa area, he's at the Ottawa Absolute Comedy headlining. I believe he might be at one of the other clubs or whatever. But as usual, I haven't done my research. So go to absolutecomedy.ca and you can see if Pete is coming somewhere near you. If you are in the Ottawa area, I strongly, strongly recommend you coming out to see Pete. Pete Zedlacker. Almost called him another Pete, who's a buddy of mine. Right? That's the way to really endear someone. He hasn't even done the podcast yet. To listen to it in the morning and go, what the fuck did you call me? Anyways, check him out. Pete Zedlacker is at Absolute Comedy Ottawa all this week. So call 613-233-8000 to make reservations to see that show. He is here until Sunday. What else have I got? Oh, of course, my wonderful partners at Summersby. Keeping my throat cool during that Mayweather McGregor fight, right? What else do I say about them? I really, guys, I struggle with throwing it to my sponsors. I'm just like, this and that, let's play their ad. I'm sitting there, even that gap just now, I was like, do I just hit the button with that? Or no, that was stupid. Anyways, guys, Summersby, great partner. I love them. Here they are. The sun gives life to the orchard. The orchard gives life to the apple. The apple gives life to Summersby. Summersby is a delicious sweet taste of sunshine, imported across the ocean, all the way from Denmark. The people in Denmark are smarter, and so are you, if you drink Somersby. With flavors like apple, blackberry, pear, elderflower lime, red rhubarb, and a taste as regal as this fake accent, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And now you can try them all in the Somersby Mixer Pack, available wherever fine beverages are sold. So go on and try for yourself the crisp, refreshing taste of Somersby. Your taste buds deserve it. Please drink resplendently. Do. And we're back. It's that magical time, guys. I mentioned it off the top of the show. And I don't know if you can hear that. Oh yeah, that's the ballots shaking around in this here hat of mine that I don't wear. So here's the thing. This is how we're gonna do this. I'm gonna draw. All right, I'm gonna draw 3 names. So before you start freaking out, listen to what I'm doing. Okay. I appreciate everyone who entered in various forms. Okay. Some of you have multiple ballots in here. But I mean, it's enough of a diversity that I think everyone's got a good chance. The reason I'm drawing 3. So here's the thing. The name I draw first is the winner. Okay. But I had some people just like the page who may have had, no idea what was going on with this. I may have had people that shared the event that had no idea what's going on with this. So I want to make sure that this prize goes to an actual listener. So I'm going to draw the first name, and I'm going to give that person 48 hours to write in, contact@onemanpodcast.com, just saying, super cool, glad I won. That way I know that you were listening. I'm going to draw the 2 others so that in case, the number 1 was just somebody who happened to have liked the page or whatever, that it actually goes to a listener. So I'm going to draw 3 people, and they're going to go to people in that order. So 48 hours for you guys to write in and basically say, hey, I know that sounds fucking ridiculous, but you have to understand, just the way with all social media stuff goes, I want to make sure that this goes to someone, and I want to make sure that it actually goes to a listener, because I do appreciate you guys listening, and the sponsors appreciate you listening. So I'm going to draw the first name. This episode comes out on Wednesday, so I'm going to ask you to have emailed me by end of day Thursday. Okay, contact@onemanpodcast.com. And of course, number 2 and 3, please do the same. I will respond to you and let you know whether or not, you've actually won it on that point. So number 1, here we go. Okay. This is the big one here. All right. So not looking, I'm going in a hat. The winner. Oh geez. I hate fucking disappointing people, and you're all important to me. So I feel like all of you that don't win. Okay. So the winner of this. Oh, David Budd. David Budd is the winner of this. So Dave has 48 hours to basically email me, let me know that he has won, he accepts. So I'm going to draw number 2. So number 2, you 2, please send me an email just in case Dave does not, because while Dave is a listener of the podcast, he doesn't always listen. So number 2, Ben Hagel. Ben Hagel. He was the other comedian that worked with me on the what do you call it? Movie theater event there. And number 3, just in case Dave and Ben do not listen, we have Marcus Sinclair. So Dave Budd is the winner. Ben Hagel and Marcus Sinclair are standbys. So thank you guys. I'll thank all of you, of course, for liking and sharing and stuff like that. The good news is, my sponsors are very excited to, send more stuff for giveaways and things like that. I am also working on some stuff for the holiday season, getting gift cards and things like that from a lot of big box retailers, which are available all over North America. So you guys listening anywhere will be able to win shit too. So yeah. And same with the book. I did mention that I would send the book somewhere. Know that I will send it anywhere in North America. So if you're listening, one of my listeners in California, New York, Virginia, don't feel like you guys can't get it because I'm not, you don't live within a few square miles of me. I will send it anywhere in North America. So it's the same with all prizes and stuff like that, guys. Don't sell yourselves short because you feel like you live too far. I will send this anywhere in Canada or the US. So lots of prizes and more things like that coming up. I do appreciate the involvement that you guys had in that. This week coming up for myself, like I said, I'm interviewing Pete tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. As always, if you guys have any questions for Pete Zedlacker, please send them to contact@onemanpodcast.com. Pete has performed Just for Laughs, the Winnipeg Comedy Festival, Halifax Comedy Festival. He's got a Comedy Now special. He entertains the troops on a regular basis, and super funny. Revered amongst comics as well as just a super funny comedian. Audiences love him, and I'm looking forward to talking to him. So if there's anything that you'd like to ask a guy who does that, contact@onemanpodcast.com. Josh, why do you repeat the email so often? Because you guys maybe don't want to write in at the time, and then I say something, you go, maybe I will. But what's that email? I'm driving. I wasn't paying attention. Well, there it was again. Contact@onemanpodcast.com. So yeah, I'm going to be talking with him tomorrow. I've also got a friend who needs some electrical work done. And in one of my previous lives, I was an electrician when I was a young fella. I learned that as a trade. It's boring. I hate doing that fucking work. But when you have a car that needs $700 worth of fucking work out of the blue, sometimes you got to go, I guess I'll pick up the old tool belt and whore myself out as a very cheap electrician, and that's what I'm doing this week. I'm going to go see a friend's house who also happens to be our kiddo's gym teacher. So I'm going to give him a bunch of shit for being a gym teacher and hopefully not make it worse on my kiddo. Brody's gym teacher. He's super cool dude, a good friend. So I'm looking forward to actually getting a chance to reconnect with him and at the same time make a little bit of buckage, from pulling some wires and putting in electrical switches. This weekend, very excited, super excited. Going to be going to my buddy Mika's cottage. Of course, I talk about Mika and Jimmy all the time because they're my two closest friends in the entire world. So we're going up there with our significant others. I remember saying that when I was at Mika's house there for dinner. Crystal and I went over for dinner, played some games. We talked about it as an idea. Sometimes it's just such a popular location. Mika has a large family, and it's sort of like their cottage is an amazing place. Mika's dad, has built it up over the years, and it's been like a labor of love. Every year they go up and they just add and work harder on it. We were friends for a very long time before I'd ever even gone up for the first time. And it's something that we get to do as a circle of friends once every couple of years. So, really looking forward to it. We're going up there with the ladies. So Mika, Jimmy, myself, and Johnny, whose bachelor party we were just at. We're going to be going up there with the significant others. I was going to say, whatever. There's a running joke. Mika's wife is named Melissa, but he called her Mel all the time. And I never knew what the long version of that was. I said, Mel, I guessed Melanie. He laughed in my face like I was the dumbest motherfucker in the world because I guessed Mel was short for Melanie instead of Melissa. So I got that wrong. I was just going to call her Mel, and I was like, Mel, and I hung there. I got stuck. So I figured I had to explain myself. So Melissa is going to be going there. Alex is going to be going, as well as Jillian, and my lovely, beautiful angel, Crystal, is coming up as well. And Crystal's never been, so we're very excited to actually go up for the first time with my lady. We're bringing up the kiddos. The babies are coming up. It's going to be a lot of fun. So hopefully we get into some goofy, wacky adventures and conversations and stuff like that I can tell you guys all about next week. But as far as my week goes, I'm pretty excited. I got an interview with a great guy. Going to be spending some time with an old friend doing some electrical, and then of course a nice little cottage weekend with some of my favorite people in the entire world. So I'll have some stories for you guys next week. As it stands right now, I've just got an email. One email, and then I get to let you go. We all get to go back to whatever we were thinking about before we started listening to me run my mouth. My buddy Jason has sent in an email, and I guess I'll explain this after the fact. Jason writes, "Hey brother, love your show and your interviews. Yes, I have listened to all the episodes and interviews. With my job, I have lots of time to listen to all of it." So actually, just to give a little context of that, Jay and I hadn't seen each other in a long time. We were together for Johnny's bachelor party a couple weekends ago, and he didn't know what a podcast was. I started telling him about what I was doing, and we downloaded like all the episodes for him onto his phone. And since then, he's listened to all of them. I actually got this email early last week. So it was kind of funny. He's listened to like God knows how many hours of me running my mouth. So I do appreciate that in the short period of time that you had it. Now you're gonna have to wait. You just get like 1 hour a week now. But anyways, he says, I believe so much in what you were doing. I've donated a 10-hour segment on Auphonics. These board games that you're mentioning are way more intricate than I remember. I enjoy board games, but much prefer playing euchre or any card games less set up for a lazy guy. LOL. I have a suggestion about your show. Maybe to keep you on track, have your notes, but separate them into segments and separate them with your sponsors' commercials. Keep up the good work. So thanks, Jay, for writing in. I really do appreciate that. And just to mention as well, the Auphonic thing that we're doing is because I know that sometimes my voice gets a little quiet, or if I'm talking with two different people, one person's loud, one person's not. I use the Auphonic for my interview with Mike Dambra, and people were already like, the sound quality is much better. But as always, it's something that's, it's not free to use their service. So I've always opened it up. Always. It's last week was the first time I mentioned it, but, I opened it up. They have an option to donate little blocks of time. And Jay was kind enough to donate a 10-hour block. I'm very, very grateful for that. I really do appreciate it. So thank you so much for taking the time to do that, Jay. I really do appreciate it. And of course, it's something that you guys are always welcome to do. I don't expect it. It helps. And at the top of the Facebook page, I've got it pinned. So there's a place that you can click on that. If you go to One Man Podcast page, you can click on that. If you feel like donating a little bit of time, it is much appreciated. Not necessary. Continue to enjoy the One Man Podcast guilt-free. Just enjoy. I'm glad that you guys are listening, and I really do appreciate that you guys take the time to do that. So I will ask, though, this is what I will ask, which costs you absolutely nothing. If you guys are, if you do enjoy listening to the One Man Podcast, like it on Facebook, follow it on Instagram, follow it on Twitter. It never hurts to have, more things going on. I try to, put stuff out there for you guys. Occasionally someone will write in an email, but send me in pictures. I post the pictures on those social media platforms so that while I'm talking about something, you guys can look and see what it is, because I don't have a way to put pictures in your brain with my words. I'm not an author. Those guys are pretty good at that, but not me. I start talking about one thing, I see a squirrel in my brain and I get distracted. So, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. We even have a YouTube page if occasionally, you're somewhere where you just want to throw it on YouTube. All the episodes are up there, but One Man Podcast for all of them, guys. And as usual, if you have anything fun going on, anything that you want to send, feedback, comments, bucket lists, whatever the hell it's been that we've talked about over the years, fucking tell me what you're allergic to that's driving you bananas right now. I don't give a shit. What's that email address again? contact@onemanpodcast.com. I got Ray Romano. He's plugging my show for me. I actually expected that to sound way better, but because of my my vocals, it's fucked up. So that's our podcast for this week, guys. I appreciate you listening as always. Hoping to just keep having more adventures, right? Maybe less breakdowns, but shit to talk to you guys about. I had a great week. Thank you always, and we'll talk to you soon.